Of the Foreign Relations Committee, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey.
Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for being with us. What are you most interested in hearing from Secretary of State Blinken about? What topic?
Well, clearly, if you look at the agreements that Mika were just talking about, they're overwhelmingly in China's favor. A lot of outflow into China, no return investment into Russia. Putin's continuing to mortgage Russia's future, and he has become Xi's junior partner. But he's doing so out of necessity. And China, for its part, ultimately clearly wants to not only take advantage of that, but it's willing to uphold Putin's illegal invasion and war crimes, and it shows you that Xi is no peacemaker. So want to explore the questions as to how we deal with the China challenge from the perspective of the Department of State. Of course, an update on our conflict in Ukraine, as well as questions about democracy and human rights across the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to that, especially Ukraine, just curious, continuing on the subject of China and these agreements and this public show of support for Vladimir Putin, what's the end game for Xi, given the somewhat interdependence with the United States of America?
Well, for Xi, I mean, the old adage, birds of a feather flock together. He needs another authoritarian to latch onto. He can really make Putin, as I said, his junior partner. He's clearly establishing that. A third of all of Russia's oil is going to China, which they definitely need. And so in every respect, China is getting the better part of this deal, except that it is clearly killing its reputation internationally. She is no peacekeeper or peacemaker, but she has made the decision that strategically wants to do that. It just goes to show the global nature of our China challenge. It is systemic across all different elements of our national interest and national security, and that's a lot of what we'll want to explore today.
So, Mr. Chairman, good morning. How do you classify China then? I think a lot of Americans watch that. They've watched Russia attack civilians and infrastructure and everything else in Ukraine over the last year, and they say, wait a minute, China is rushing into Moscow. The president is sitting down next to Vladimir Putin, wants to be seen publicly for 3 days as standing in solidarity with him. What do we do with that as a country?
Well, clearly it's a strategic opponent of the United States. There's no question to that in every dimension, right? That's why what we have to do is, in some elements, we have to decouple our economies. We're not going to do it totally because decisions of the past of both Democratic and Republican administrations have led us into this economic relationship with China that fueled their military-industrial complex and at the same time created this challenge that we now have. But, we continue to think about, like, the CHIPS Act, incredibly important, so we don't have to worry about China overtaking Taiwan, even as we support Taiwan to avoid that consequence. Taiwan makes 95% of all the world's high-end semiconductors and chips. Everything that we use has chips in it. We can't allow China to have that corner of that market and then put us at risk as a result. That's why the CHIPS Act was so important. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. So when Americans, even as we're focused on Russia and Ukraine and the international proposition that we're defending, you can't by force take another country's territory, the real big challenge is China.
Senator Elise Jordan here. Secretary Blinken is going to testify today about the priorities for the fiscal year 2024 budget for the State Department. And what are you expecting to hear from him? The State Department has, you could argue, been a bit stagnant over the last 10 years. It hasn't gotten any bigger. While the Department of Defense, you look at what they're at, a zero to the State Department's budget, and you're still not there with DOD. So in this era of competition with the Chinese who are going around the world and going to places where we don't even have posts anymore, how can the United States better fund and support the State Department?
Well, at least this is a great question and exactly part of what we'll explore with the Secretary. Look, China has more embassies and diplomatic personnel across the globe than the United States of America has. And what does that mean? It means that Chinese diplomats, from the largest to the smallest nations on the earth, are out there influencing those countries, trying to get China's goods sold there, and trying to get those countries to align with China on the questions that we care about so much in terms of peace and security. And so we need to resource the State Department. I have urged the Biden administration to do so. I see that there's a $7 billion overall set aside to deal with the China challenge. If it's appropriately used, then that's a good beginning to resource the challenges we have. But we cannot have the United States of America outcompeted in the diplomatic field in different countries in the world when we need those countries to align with us. And our choice for them is not between the United States and China or the West. The choice is what type of world do you want to live in? And if you want to live in China's world, that means you'll be told how you can make your money, you'll be told who you can love, you could be told how many children you have, and you will be minded by the state. I don't think that most people in the world want to get that choice.
Senator, good morning. Jonathan Lemire. So I wanted to get your reaction to some news this morning. North Korea has launched multiple cruise missiles towards eastern waters per South Korea. This, of course, comes during a U.S.-South Korea joint military exercises. There's been a real escalation in the number of these missile launches in recent weeks from Pyongyang. Is this just typical Kim Jong-un temper tantrum, or are you concerned there's something more going on here?
Well, look, Kim Jong-un wants attention. And he wants not only attention, he wants certain benefits, and he does that by trying to create a destabilization by firing off these missiles. Up to now, we have not succumbed to that. Of course, these particular missiles being fired at a time that we're doing exercises raises the tantrums to a more dangerous level. And so, you know, one of the things we have to do, and here's again another element of the China challenge. China is the one entity that is clearly propping up Kim Jong-un and North Korea. China should care about North Korea's actions as well, but for so long as we have this type of conflict, it will be difficult to get China to play. That means the rest of the international community has to ratchet up the challenges that North Korea has so it doesn't continue to act this way.
All right, Chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Bob Menendez, thank you. We'll be watching. We appreciate your coming on the show before the hearing. Thank you.
Great to be with you.